From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Lighting up nature.
I'm Charles Denny, a holiday light display where the backdrop is a forest of beautiful trees growing in a natural setting.
Meet the winner of this year's National Corn Yield Contest, and he's a familiar name. As a controversial figure who could serve under the Trump administration, makes his pitch to lawmakers.
I think if you're in the processed food business, you're going to have some crosshairs on you.
What agriculture could face with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. heading a key government agency, right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer. Pioneer brand corn has the home field advantage with rigorous local testing to give you a winning season. Pioneer brand corn, your best year starts here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is making the rounds on Capitol Hill this week. He's making the pitch to be the next Secretary of Health and Human Services under President Trump. Now, in a recent Ag Economist Monthly Monitor, we asked about RFK Jr. and what Ag stands to gain if he plays a significant role in President Trump's upcoming policy decisions. Respondents called Kennedy a wild card when it comes to agriculture. Another called his involvement, quote, a little scary. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins me. And Michelle, Kennedy's background as an environmental lawyer and activist could put him at odds with conventional ag practices.
That's exactly right, Clinton. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. led the environmental activist group known as the Water Keepers Alliance. So his background will be challenged as he meets with more than 24 senators on Capitol Hill this week. And we understand his strategy will be to play down the topic of vaccines and stick to Trump's messaging on things like abortion and promoting healthy foods. Yet he'll face significant headwinds. And even if he's not confirmed, he'll play a big role in agriculture. The ag community has serious concerns about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. leading the Department of Health and Human Services. Political commentator Damian Mason says it centers around his anti-big ag and anti-science stance, especially regarding the food production system.
We probably have overused glyphosate. It's the world's most used herbicide. Could we get by with more judicious utilization of it? Yes. But should it be taken away from agriculture? No. That's where there's always the issue between activism and pragmatism.
He also supports regenerative agriculture as part of his healthy food agenda, which could benefit specialty crops and disadvantage conventional production. It could also put a target on vegetable oils.
What's he talk about every time they put a camera in front of him? About the evils of seed oil. Well, the biggest seed oil that we use in the United States of America is soybean oil. So I think that we're going to have to address that topic.
Mason says RFK Jr.'s healthy foods agenda also includes eliminating highly processed foods and food additives.
I think if you're in the processed food business, you're going to have some crosshairs on you. We are unhealthy. We do have 42% of our country is obese. We do use too many additives.
RFK Jr.'s agenda will be highly scrutinized by senators, especially members of the Senate Ag Committee.
And I look forward to meeting with him, and so we will meet with him. We'll discuss at length what his ideas are. We look forward to his hearing, which will come up, and I'm sure he will be questioned extensively. And so after we do all of those things, then we'll make a decision as to whether or not we can support him.
Mason believes RFK Jr. will be confirmed, and if not, he'll still have a big impact on agriculture.
Yeah, RFK is going to face a few hurdles. I think that those hurdles will actually rein him in. I do believe he'll get confirmed because he's got political clout. He's enough of an activist. If he doesn't get this role, he's going to end up creating a role for him. That was part of the deal for him to support Trump. He's going to have a role.
The good news is Mason doesn't believe all of his agenda will be adopted, nor will it have a major impact on ag markets. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Also on Capitol Hill, lawmakers are wrestling with a continuing resolution bill that must get passed by the end of this week. And Farm Journal Washington analyst Jim Wiesmeyer tells us a one-year extension to the current farm bill, which could be tied to the CR, has sparked intense negotiations over economic assistance to producers. Now, some farm state lawmakers say they will not support a CR without farmer aid, and the American Farm Bureau has called on lawmakers to oppose a stopgap bill if it doesn't include aid for farmers. Now, Wiesmeyer says unlocking the farm aid package is key to a broader CR deal, and while both sides want to get help to farmers, they differ on how to fund it. An update on efforts to keep the New World screwworm out of the U.S. USDA announcing late last week that Mexican cattle imports under new protocols won't resume until early next year. The recent resurgence of New World screwworm in Central America and Mexico has severely impacted the cattle trade between the U.S. and Mexico. USDA's chief veterinary officer confirming shipments will start incrementally after the new year. Now, she said that while the U.S. continues to work with Mexico and it has agreed to protocols, she says it will take some time to implement them due to multiple steps needed to resume trade. The agency is allocating $165 million from the Commodity Credit Corporation to combat New World screwworms. It's the middle of December, and while some places will see snow, others are dealing with rain, while some will see both. Meteorologist Alyssa Heilman joins us with an update.
That's exactly right. Seeing some areas with rain and of course some areas of snow too, but mostly seeing rain in these systems here in the United States. Only areas seeing snow are going to be parts of the Northwest, seeing some in Montana, in Wyoming, in Idaho as well, even into parts of the Dakotas into South Dakota too, and then seeing rain in parts of the Southeast, those southern states, seeing some rainy systems as well as areas of the Northeast, seeing some heavier rainfall there as well. Now these systems all of course move east, seeing some of that snow move further east and then up into Canada as well. And then this rainy system also move east, impacting parts of the southeast as we go into Thursday. Then this snowy system continues to move and it heads towards the Great Lakes, bringing some snowy conditions for areas of the Great Lakes. And then after that system snow, expecting more snow because of the lake effect as that moves off of the Great Lakes. Most of that rain has moved out into the ocean. And Dave Castell of Manhattan, Illinois, celebrating the season with this festive display. Make sure to share your holiday decorations with us either on the AgDay X page or on our Facebook page. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
$140 billion. That's how much the fertilizer industry contributes to the U.S. economy, according to a new study from the Fertilizer Institute. Now, you can read more about this over at agweb.com. Now, the report says the fertilizer industry directly accounts for more than 46,000 manufacturing jobs, 17,000 wholesale jobs, and nearly 50,000 retail jobs. If you multiply it out, the industry supports 500,000 American workers and makes up to $36.5 billion in employment income. Now, the Fertilizer Institute says the report is a good reminder about the complexity of the industry's network and its reliance on open markets and fair competition. They're keeping a very close eye on this incoming administration.
We're still over a month away from that administration transition. So we have some time to kind of put our strategy together. But bottom line, if there is some sort of a tariff strategy there that the Trump administration uses, I would feel pretty confident that we would find a way to get fertilizer and perhaps other ag products exempt from that, because we couldn't face that as a producer here in the U.S.
To put the importance of trade into perspective, 40% of U.S. phosphate exports, most of which is mined in Florida, went to Canada in 2023. In turn, the U.S. imports about 98% of its potash needs. About 87% of it comes from Canada. And speaking of Canada, a key person who helped negotiate the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement for Canada is resigning. Chrystia Freeland, Canada's finance minister, was also the country's deputy prime minister. Now, she says Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told her last week he no longer wanted her to serve as finance minister and that she was being offered a different cabinet position. She said in a letter that recently she and Trudeau had been, quote, at odds about the best path forward for Canada, end quote. She also cited concerns about how the country should respond to President-elect Trump's economic policies, saying Mr. Trump's threat to impose 25% tariffs on Canadian imports is, quote, a grave challenge. The National Corn Growers Association is announcing the winner of this year's yield contest. And the top finisher is a familiar name. The highest yield of the year came from Charles City, Virginia, with David Hula at 490.62 bushels per acre. And if Hula's name is familiar, he also won it last year with a record 623.84 bushels to the acre. Now, this is the 13th time he has gotten the high yield win. Hula, along with other winners, will be honored at Commodity Classic in Denver in March. It was a tepid day of trade to start the week. We dig into what to expect from markets next. And later, the beauty of Christmas lights are helping to keep visitors coming to this Tennessee Arboretum. That story today in the country.
AgDay is sponsored by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator steel closing wheels, perfected in conventional, excels in no-till. Order 12 to 16 rows today and qualify for free shipping or 20% off an end zone moisture management package.
Livestock moved lower while corn fought to stay on the plus side. AgDay's Michelle Rook is back with more in Markets Now.
Grains closing mixed on Monday with the livestock lower. Brian Grady is back with analysis. And Brian, let's talk about the soybean market, which did see a setback. So was that the NOPA crush report, or was rain in South America part of the problem?
Well, I think the initial pressure came with the South American crop estimates getting bigger and the recent rains there. And most of those areas are in really good condition at the moment and record productions forecast. And so that put pressure on the market, along with heavy selling in soy oil. And then we got the NOPA crush number, and it came in lower than expected. Even though it was a record for November, it missed the target on what analysts had on it, and that put additional pressure on soybeans.
Yeah. Corn went the opposite direction. Were the funds back in buying?
Yeah, so the funds have favored corn and not soybeans. And fundamentally, USDA helped out there by cutting ending stocks 200 million bushels. So the fundamentals for corn are much better. And as a result, we are seeing money flow into the long side of the corn market. Definitely not the case with soybeans right now.
No, so there's some corn soybean spreading, but will the funds be able to continue to push the long side of the market to finally get through some of these chart resistance areas?
Well, I think that's going to be key. Either corn's going to continue higher and pull soybeans off their lows, or soybeans are going to make new lows and pull corn market down. And so as we get into the end of the year, trade gets kind of wonky sometimes with year-end stuff and thinner volume and those types of things. But I think as we get into early 2025, that's going to be the critical one in terms of money flow, which wins out, corn on the long side or soybeans on the short side.
And cattle ended lower. Was that profit taking?
I think it was. We've seen the cash market strengthen for 4 straight weeks. That initially pushed us to the upside, and then we ran out of buyer interest. And once it turned lower, we saw some fund liquidation. So I think technically based, definitely. And we had a bearish reversal on the day, so that's going to be critical. If we see active follow through to the downside, you'll get more liquidation pressure and pull the market even lower.
Thanks so much, Brian Grady with Pro Farmer. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
Mild temperatures throughout most of the United States. Yesterday was a very warm day for parts of the Midwest in a warm sector of a low pressure system, seeing those warm temperatures, but also continuing to see a little bit warmer and some mild temperatures throughout most of the United States. Of course, just areas in the north seeing those colder temperatures, 22 in Bismarck, 29 in Minneapolis, but really some mild conditions, just 41 in Chicago, 57 in St. Louis, and Richmond, Virginia, 67, as well as New York City, 55. So pretty mild, or a little bit warmer than we'd usually see for this time in December. Now going into the night tonight, we're expecting, and tomorrow morning as well, seeing of course those temperatures drop as they do overnight into the morning. But again, seeing some rather mild conditions as we go into tomorrow morning. Then into tomorrow, temperatures do start to drop a little bit more, but again, rather mild for this time of year, seeing of course colder in the north, 21, Minneapolis, Bismarck, and colder in the north, warmer in the south, seeing temperatures of 69 in San Antonio, 70 in New Orleans, 72 there in Atlanta. Let's take a look at our temperature outlook expected for December 23rd to December 29th. There you can see, and the legend as well. Above normal temperatures for most of the United States here. Of course, extremely above normal temperatures for a large portion of the central and western parts of the state, as well as some of these northern states, seeing those temperatures above average, but most of the United States, other than parts of the southeast, here seeing those temperatures above normal, but still the southeast seeing those normal temperatures right about average. Precipitation outlook, most of the United States seeing right about normal, but getting some wetter than normal conditions for parts of the Pacific Northwest and just a couple areas drier than normal as well. Palm City, Florida, we're seeing a high of 79, a low of 70. Iowa City, Iowa, high of 38, low of 27, mostly cloudy. Ann Arbor, Michigan, 40, 30 with some AM clouds, then sun.
USDA is expanding its electronic identification tag program for livestock next year. It says APHIS will distribute an additional 3 million EID tags to states in 2025. It provided 8 million tags this year. It says the effort supports a nationwide traceability program which is aimed at improving the tracking of livestock and enhancing responses to disease outbreaks. Now, the mandate states that both visually and electronically readable ear tags are required for interstate movement. Congress allocated $15 million for the program earlier this year. As we near the end of 2024, Farm Journal's Dairy Herd Management is taking a look at the 4 critical takeaways from this year's dairy industry report. It says many producers are embracing a growth mindset. It reports, despite several challenges, the majority of producers are maintaining an optimistic outlook. Some of that may be due to diversifying with alternative profit lines. They report the potential for additional income streams beyond traditional milk production is becoming increasingly apparent. Many are also working to strengthen processor-producer relationships, with 70% of those surveyed seeing potential in dairy innovation and processing as a pathway to future opportunities. And finally, dealing with succession, 46% of respondents indicated the absence of a clear succession plan or are unsure of their operations plans. What could next year hold? You can read more over at dairyherd.com. 'Tis the season for beautiful lights. We're off to Tennessee to see how the university's team is decorating this holiday season in the country. Next.
The Dairy Report on AgDay is brought to you by Enogen. Enogen delivers more available energy to your cattle, increased starch digestibility, and improved silage quality. Energize your operation with Enogen corn for feed.
Sparkling lights and outdoor decorations can make the holiday season beautiful. University of Tennessee's Institute of Agriculture has decorated one of its ag research centers. And Charles Denny has more on holly trees dressed up for Christmas time.
A holiday light display in the midst of nature.
It's world-renowned, the amount of hollies we have, the different varieties. We've done a great job with our volunteers of really getting this collection, making sure it's all labeled, it has a database. So not only is it beautiful, but it's really valuable for research.
A beautiful display like this takes some work. Santa's elves, also known as the Ag Research staff here, and the Arboretum Society teamed together to decorate the trees. For the Arboretum Society, the holidays offered a time to highlight the holly collection. And this community of volunteers spent several hours stringing up the lights, adding to an already pretty setting.
It's spectacular at night, even without all of these lights that we have put on the hollies when the lights are turned on. So it would be a great place for an evening event.
Cut it. All right.
That's what Ag Research leaders did here, cutting a Christmas ribbon to open the Elmore section of the Arboretum, part of its Forest Resources and Education Center of East Tennessee. Hollies have been a Christmas tradition and part of the winter solstice since ancient times. More than 200 cultivars grow on this property,
many now glowing with holiday brightness.
These holly bushes have been grown here for quite a number of years. They're part of the Holly Society, the National Holly Society. It was set up years ago.
Twinkling lights and vibrant berries, together a nice way to celebrate the season and this blend of nature and festive cheer. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles, and that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day on Farm Country.